coming into SOS, we had one of the very first Politico auditorium meetings, and one of the speakers said, hey, you need to be able to share your story. And one of the things he asked was, what is your why? Like, why are you actually doing what you do in the United States Air Force? And for me, that's pretty simple. I want to serve with the guys on the front line, the guys that are really doing the job, that are at the pointy end of the spear. I want to come alongside them, help bear their burdens, and walk through life with them. Let them know that they have somebody in their corner that loves them, that cares about them, that has chosen to serve because they took it upon themselves to raise their right hand and serve our nation. And so when I tell that story, I go back to 2015 when I had the privilege of deploying to Kandahar, Afghanistan. I was the lone Air Force chaplain in all of southern Afghanistan. I had the Navy Roll 3 based at Kandahar. I had about 800, 900 airmen that were scattered all over Kandahar and Jalalabad and Dwyer and various other outposts that our guys were covered. I got to preach the service every Sunday there at Kandahar and lead that service. But one of the things, unbeknownst to me, was there was an 05 Army SOFLA chief, that stands for Special Operations Forces Liaison Element Chief. And this guy had worked with an E9 chief of mine back at Beale. And the chief had reached out to him and said, hey, just so you know, there's a chaplain coming to Kandahar. I know that's where you are. Keep a lookout for this guy. Well, sure enough, I'd been at Kandahar a few weeks and this guy found me. And he took me aside and said, hey, I'd really be interested in utilizing you to work with some of our Green Berets that are scattered around doing some intense work. I said, man, that'd be a privilege for me to do. I'd love the opportunity to do that. But you better run that by my commander. I mean, I work for an 06 Air Force commander here at Kandahar. So he reached out to the 06 commander, and lo and behold, next thing I know, I am cleared hot to jump on choppers, fly out to the middle of nowhere, Afghanistan, Helmand Province, and start loving on these guys that are doing some crazy, outstanding work for our country. So I started to get to build those relationships, and August 25th rolled around, and I got a call at 4 o'clock in the morning. And as you can imagine, if your phone rings at 4 o'clock in the morning, it's not going to be for a good reason. And the Army SOFLA chief was on the line and said, hey, Brenner, I need you at the ramp. We got 2 KIAs and 3 WIAs inbound. They're going to be here any minute. I said, got it. So I threw on my clothes, jumped in the truck. I drove out to the ramp, and when I got there, he said, hey, Brenner, I couldn't tell you over that line. The 2 KIAs, the Air Force, and the 3 WIAs are Army. There's 2 JTACs. My heart sank. Like, oh man, okay. He said, Brenner, we need you on the C-130. We want you to do a little ramp ceremony for these guys and honor their service before they fly them up to Bagram, where they're gonna catch the transport home. I said, you got it. So walked out onto the ramp. I climbed into that C-130. I mean, it's like I'm standing there today. Just standing in the belly of that beast, looking out the back end of that C-130. The generator on the C-130 is already going. It's loud. There's about 50 SOF operators lined up facing each other, big old burly dudes, bearded up, you know, all somber. And I hear the first Black Hawk come in. And it lands, and then I see it appear in front, behind that C-130. Big red cross on the door. And the first detail files out, it goes up to the door of that Black Hawk. It slides open that door and it grabs the first body bag. And they walk up the C-130 and they lay his head at my feet. And they drape our nation's colors over him. Took out my Bible and I was reading some verses. Knelt and prayed, really over the family that was about to get the worst news they would ever receive. I thank God for the sacrifice that young man had made, and asked the Holy Spirit just to bring comfort to the family back home and his brothers and sisters in arms that were reeling in pain. And then history repeated itself. The second Black Hawk landed, it taxied the back of the C-130, same red cross. The second detail marched out, it opened the door, it brought the body bag of our brother, laid his head at the feet of his comrade. Put our nation's colors over it. I did the same thing I'd done for his fallen teammate. I stood up, and those SOF operators started to pile through the C-130, each of them kneeling, a lot of them with tears in his eyes, touching the body of their fallen brother, praying, giving thanks, leaving a trinket, something that meant something to them. And over half of them just stopped and gave me a hug. Said, Chaplain, thanks for being here. Thanks for loving on us like this. I turned around to exit with them, and there was 3 or 4 guys standing there, one of them just tears in his eyes. I said, what's your name? I said, my name's Andy, and that should have been me. I said, Andy, what do you mean? He said, I just came into country, and I'm his replacement. He told me, he said, no, you just got here. This is going to be my last one. I'll go out. I'll take care of this. You just stay back here at the outpost. We'll be back in just a little bit. It was his last one. So I prayed with Andy, put my arms around him, encouraged him. I still keep in touch with Andy to this day. Sergeant Major called us outside the C-130. We went outside the C-130. He called us to attention as the C-130 taxied and then started to take off. The sun was rising at our backs. We all saluted our 2 fallen brothers as they head back to Bagram. That SOFLA chief said, hey, Brenner, I know you're just getting out of this, but we need you down in the emergency room, man. Those 3 WIAs, one of them is just coming out of surgery, one's in surgery, and the other one they're prepping for surgery. And it's kind of chaotic. You got it. We jumped in the ambulance. We drove down to the end of the ramp, went into the Navy Roll 3 where I knew everybody there. I'd been working with them for months at that time. But this was different. Up to that point, they had opportunities to take care of some Afghans, but they never had to work on some of their brethren. So I walk in and they're prepping Chris. They're prepping Chris for surgery. He's got a gunshot wound in his right arm. He's elated because his brother didn't use a tourniquet and cinch down on his arm, so he's going to get to keep his arm. He's thinking, he's like, man, thanks for not tourniqueting my arm. And all of a sudden, the cell phone rings. I mean, why wouldn't he have a cell phone? You know, Army SOF operator in the emergency room. He's like, oh my gosh, it's my wife. Hey, Chaplain, you mind taking this? Okay. So he hands me the phone and, hey, this is Chaplain Campbell. What do you mean my husband's been shot? Yeah, yes, ma'am. I'm with him right now, but you're actually going to get to see him a whole lot sooner than you thought. You see, they had just gotten in country less than 48 hours beforehand, and they were ripping out their individuals that they were replacing. Chris heard me say that. He's like, no, you tell her I ain't coming home. Y'all are just going to patch me up and you're going to get me back in the fight. I just got here. This is just a gun, just a flesh wound. Like, a bullet went through you. Yeah, it's out, but man, there's no telling what was on those Afghan bullet disease-wise, Man, what a testimony to the fight that was in that soldier. Wanting to stay, wanting to press on. I prayed over him. I prayed with the docs that were getting ready to operate on him. Nate had come out of surgery. And Nate's one of the biggest guys you've ever seen. Bandaged up completely. Couldn't see anything but his eyes up. Found out later, I said, hey, man, what in the world happened? They were all too happy to share with me kind of what went down. So what had happened was the JTACs and the team of ODAs that was going to be ripping out, they went out to the flight line, and they were going to have the opportunity to get the guys out that were coming out and then put the guys in that were coming in. So the guys got on the plane, they took off. The guys had just come in, they jumped back on a van, and they left. They left the runway, they went back to their outpost. They went up to a first detail checkpoint, and they rolled right through it. No problems. But they got to the second checkpoint, and that's when all hell broke loose. The 2 Afghans that were manning that post just started unloading bullets. The JTAC driving the vehicle never had a chance. The bullets start flying through like the tin can, and guys are kicking out windows. They're trying to just get out of this because metal is just flying through, and they don't know what in the world's going on. But they're kicking out windows, they're jumping out windows. The other JTAC jumps up, under fire, under fire. That was it. That's all I got off. Guys, as they get out of the van, they start putting lead back down range, trying to take these guys out. Nate took a bullet square to his chin. He was drawing this out because he can't talk because of the surgery that they had to do. He's drawing it out. He's like, man, as I was firing down, I thought I was losing my teeth. It was actually bone fragment from his chin and the vibration of his gun. Half inch higher, half inch lower, Nate's dead. His chin saved him. He was the one credited with taking out the 2 enemy after getting hit square in the face. Wow. That's the kind of devotion that I want to come alongside. That's the kind of pride, warrior ethos that I want to serve. I want to be there for them when it's really dark. And those thoughts start coming up. They don't know how to deal with it. See, it's a privilege for me to get to come alongside guys like that. The last guy was coming out of the surgery and was Mike. They asked me to go talk to him. They said he wasn't doing real well. So I went up and said, hey, Mike, you had a really rough morning. He goes, man, I ain't even supposed to be here. I'm just a comm guy. They tasked me out on this last minute to go out and set some things up. Here I am, freaking been shot, man. I ain't supposed to be here. I said, Mike, I'm so sorry you've been shot. But you remember something? I just want you to take a pause just for a second. I said, Mike, do you remember when you did this right here? You see, you swore to defend something that I hold dear, that my wife and my 3 children at that time hold dear. So you're owned by Uncle Sam for a little bit. And your good old uncle said he needed you in Afghanistan to perform a task that nobody else could do but you. And so he needed you to do it. And that's why you're here. And I know you're not happy about being shot. But Mike, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Thank you for doing what you do. You see, Mike, it's because guys and girls like you that raised your right hand and swore to protect everything that I hold dear, that allows my wife and 3 kids back home to be playing right now, completely oblivious to what is going on in this emergency room and what happened in this morning. That's why I chose to serve. Because you did. It's my privilege to come alongside and share life with you. So that's the big why for Brenner Campbell. I love my country. I love the men and women who swear to defend it, who've taken that task to be our nation's sword. It's not easy. They need people to come alongside and love them. That's my honor, to love them. And I'll continue to do that as long as I feel like the Lord is leading me to do so. I'll ask you, what's your why?